Hey now, welcome to the Winnipeg Sports Talk post-game reaction. Michael Remis here with Connor Hrabchak, where the Winnipeg Jets just defeated the St. Louis Blues 5-3 in Game 5 of their first round series. The Winnipeg Jets now have a 3-2 series lead, with the series now shifting back to St. Louis on Friday night for a just-announced start time of 7 p.m. Central? Is that right? So 7 p.m. Central, Game 6 on Friday, but we're here to talk about Game 5. Connor, how you doing? How you feeling after that one?
Man, what a game. And the Winnipeg Jets bounced back from a loss in the playoffs for the first time since 2019. The last time they did it was against the St. Louis Blues in that series that they lost in 2019. And the past couple of years here, of course, they haven't bounced back. Once they've lost one game, they've lost 4 straight. And they broke that today with a 5-3 win. And probably their best game of the series. I mean, Jim Montgomery after the game and Jim Montgomery and the Jets players both kind of admitted that this was the Jets' best game of the series so far, and I'd have to agree with that assessment.
There was so much talk about the Jets' performance in St. Louis in Games 3 and 4, where they clearly were not at their best, and St. Louis ran away with both games. A lot of talk coming in about Connor Hrabchak's play, so focus on him for sure. And additionally, heading to the game, some lineup changes, notably for the Jets. Gabriel Velarde coming in for his first game of the series after being injured, and Ryan Suter in for the Blues. But the mood in the building, again, the whiteout crowd standard, but the MVP chants maybe a little extra loud tonight for Connor Hrabchak in pregame.
Yeah, no secret that Connor Hrabchak got pulled in both games, in Games 3 and 4. The Jets fans knew that. MVP chants extra loud. You thought maybe there'd be some hesitancy to chant MVP given how he played in Games 3 and 4, but no, crowd was into it from the start. I didn't sense any really nervous energy from the crowd. They were loud as ever. Clearly not affected by the late start here at downtown Winnipeg Canada Life Center.
No, absolutely not. And we're about to get into the first period. But first, I got to give a shout out to the sponsor of this program, KFC Canada, an official partner of the Winnipeg Jets, and is committed to providing Jets fans with a delicious game day experience with exclusive finger-licking good promotions. We're proud to bring to Canada Life Center on Jets game days. So next one is Friday. KFC Canada is giving away their Big Crunch chicken sandwich for just $4.95 at participating Winnipeg KFC locations to help Jets fans enjoy the game with a big hit. Colonel Sanders, you've seen him at the whiteout parties throughout the playoffs, cheering on the Jets, and Kyle F. Connor, tonight's first star. Looks like KFC really loves KFC. And, getting to the game, looking for
Scored the first goal.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Let's get into it.
Getting to the game, and the Jets definitely came out with some energy. And, maybe there could have been a couple penalty calls early. Notably, Mason Appleton took one in the face. He's down on the ground, gets up. The puck is right there. Kicks it to Scheifele, to a wide-open Kyle Connor in the slot. And 1-0 Jets very early into the game, about a minute 30 in.
Yep.
And the place is going crazy, 115 decibel meter. And we couldn't ask for a better start for the Winnipeg Jets there.
Yeah, the starts have been a big talking point of this series so far. Not only have the Jets, gotten scored on in a few of the games very early, but they've looked shaky even in the games that they get to the first TV timeout unscathed. So this was easily their best start of the series. They jumped on the Blues, they took it to them, and they were the ones that scored a minute and a half in, and this place went nuts. Really nice play from Mason Appleton to get that puck along the boards and get it over to Mark Scheifele, who was open at the side of the net. Kyle Connor, how good is he at finding space? This is multiple times in this series now where he's just been wide open in the slot. He finds the soft ice in a high danger spot and he beats Jordan Binnington. And yeah, like you said, this place is going nuts. And Kyle Connor just keeps scoring in this series. He's been the Jets' leading scorer in this series and is bringing it every single game.
Yeah, he seemed dangerous every time he touched the puck tonight, and he thought, okay, 1 goal. The Jets, just got to play their game and smooth sailing, right? No. The Blues, with a ton of pressure, really extended shift, and they scored just like how they scored many of their goals in St. Louis, a shot from the point, and Nathan Walker tips it front. He's all alone. Nobody's tying him up. And Cam Fowler, who's been dynamite in this series for St. Louis, another point on that goal, and it's 1-1.
Yeah, what a trade that was for St. Louis earlier on in the year. Cam Fowler's been fantastic in this series. But as for this play specifically, the Jets had multiple chances to clear this puck. They had the puck on sticks with time to make plays and weren't able to do it. And that ended up with a point shot. And how many times did we see this in St. Louis? A player standing directly in front of Connor Hrabchak and getting a deflection on it. Not only was it screened, not only was it deflected, it was both. And it beats Connor Hrabchak. And you thought initially, oh boy, are we in for another one of these games where St. Louis just gets as many point shots and deflections as they want. The Jets did a better job, obviously, as the game went on. But to me, this goal, yes, the Jets need to clear the front of the net, but they had so many chances to clear the puck and failed to do so and got burned for it.
Yeah, it was really not the best shift for the Jets. It was one of the times in the game where they looked like the team that lost the 2 in St. Louis, not the team that they played like for the majority of the night. Notably, Cam Fowler's 8th assist of the series. That was game 5. And, critical moment in the game, pucks going along the boards, and Brayden Schenn with a massive hit on Mark Scheifele. The puck's flying by. Penalties called. Schenn, 2 for interference, 2 for roughing, and Brandon Tanev, who went into the scrum after he got 2. So it was, you want to see the Winnipeg Jets power play, what it would look like with Gabe Vilardi, and they get an opportunity early, but a real controversial hit there from Brayden Schenn on Mark Scheifele, and safe to say from his post-game comments and in-game action, Scott Arniel not too pleased about it.
Yeah, so the timeline of this is this hit happens. Mark Scheifele plays the rest of the period and doesn't return for the second period. Scott Arniel has a lengthy discussion with the ref at the start of the second period when the Jets come out. And after the game, Jim Montgomery said, let's make it clear Scheifele got hurt from the Foxa hit later in the period, not the Schenn hit. And while Scott Arniel didn't say that Mark Scheifele got hurt from the Schenn hit, he did come up to the podium after the game and said, he had a pretty funny quote actually, I don't know where Monty got his medical degree saying where our players got hurt from, but he was way off base, is what Scott Arniel said on Jim Montgomery's assessment. So you'd have to think that this is where Mark Scheifele got hurt. Yes, he played the rest of the first period, but you never know with hits that are high in terms of concussions and going into the quiet room. Like, we're speculating on what the injury is. There was no update after the game, but you never know with hits like this. They can affect you after the fact. And yeah, I didn't like the hit. I thought Brayden Schenn left his feet. Main point of contact, can't really tell looking at all of the slow-mo. Is it the chest? Is it the neck area? Is it the head area? I don't know what you thought of the main point of contact, because that's a big part of all of these big hits. But Scheifele doesn't really have the puck. It's behind him. He's not looking. It's blindside. Schenn leaves his feet. I didn't like it.
Yeah, my initial reaction was, man, that is a massive hit. And it looked like a guy who was unsuspecting, and maybe he was admiring his pass. But the bottom line for me, regardless of where you think the principal point of contact was, that he very clearly left his feet. He jumped up with an intent to injure. And it was surprising, and Scott Arniel not happy that it was only, 2 for interference and 2 for roughing. Not a major with a chance to review. And we've seen some big hits similar in other playoffs, like Hagel on Barkov and Kachuk on Gensel. So I'm not expecting any other discipline. No, but Scott Arniel with a very heated post game and very heated during the game conversation with the officials. We'll see what happens going forward. But
and I will say, Remo, Blues fans seem to have found our content recently. Share your thoughts in the comments below on the hit. We want to hear them.
Yeah, shout out to
Blues fans are just rolling in.
Shout out to all the Blues fans who stepped up. Some really fun back and forth. We do appreciate the ones who are being respectful and insightful in the comment section, because some of them have said, "Hey, great job, guys."
Yes. So appreciate it.
The first power play with Gabriel Vilardi back. Maybe one chance Cole Perfetti takes it to the net. He gets stuffed, but the save of the game happens on a 2-on-1. Connor Hrabchak reaching back and showing why he's, nominated for the Vezina Trophy yet again, and the 2-time Vezina Trophy winner.
Yeah, what an incredible save at the time of the game, too. Like, we talk about timely saves all the time, and usually those saves are, in the third period when the team is down a goal, and then they come back and win, or something along those lines. But for what this game was, and the fact that the Jets got off to a burning start in the first minute and a half, took the 1-0 lead, And then the Blues tied it up on a very familiar goal with the screen and deflection. If they got a shorthanded goal and took a 2-1 lead, this building would have gone absolutely silent. But instead, they were on their feet. What an incredible save by Connor Hrabchak. Adam Lowry brought up the save unprompted in his post-game scrum, saying that was a real, series-changing, game-changing save from Connor Hrabchak, and I have to agree with him on that. What an incredible save.
Yeah, we've been waiting for him to step up and make his presence known after back-to-back rough games, and a massive save. And the Jets, the interesting play coming up next, Velarde gets 2 for interference, tangled up with Oscar Sundqvist. There looks like they were fighting for position. Velarde's elbow catches him. He was bleeding, but the referees felt like he embellished it a bit on the ice, and the Jets did still have a power play. Nothing much there. I don't know what you thought of that exchange there with Velarde and Sundqvist.
Yeah, I thought, I don't know if you're a fan of the, you call the penalty and the embellishment.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it should be one or the other. In this particular scenario, you could argue that it's both interference and embellishment, so I guess that's where that comes from. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't have many thoughts on this. It ended up being both guys got penalties, and you move on.
And then you move on,
and that was it.
We don't need to dig into that. We could nitpick a lot here on the way seemingly everything was let go. But hey, the Jets, they're tied 1-1, and we've been waiting for some of the secondary scoring to step up. Who was it going to be tonight? Line 2 and 3 hadn't they reunited Nino Niederreiter with Mason Appleton, Adam Lowry, and it was Nino Niederreiter digs the puck out of the corner, gets it back to the D. Pionk and Samberg have a nice give and go, and Samberg with a nice wrist shot on net, tipped in front by Niederreiter, and the Jets taking a page out of the Blues playbook from the last 2 games.
Yeah, my tweet when this goal happened was screens and deflections. The Jets can do that too. That's something Winnipeg can do as well, and they did it on this goal. Nino Niederreiter, a guy that we were looking for more offense from, and he brought it on this one.
Yeah, so the Jets are up 2-1, and just felt like, to me, the intensity in the building very high. The players know what this meant for the organization, just the last 2 playoffs with the early exits, not winning a game after losing, and you don't want to go back to St. Louis the way you just played there, down 3-2.
Yeah.
And again, it's a couple more penalties. Shen and Parayko, and the Jets had their first penalty kill where Stan and Shen go in the box, and St. Louis power play had been very good earlier on in the series, but not able to get anything done. They kill it off.
Yeah.
And they kill it off. Where am I going? Oh yeah, there's a big moment where Jordan Binnington makes a save. The puck's sitting there. He doesn't know where it is.
Yep.
Not able to connect. And the Blues finished the first period with some pressure, and you thought, are we going to see another late period goal?
Yeah.
We did not, and the Jets got out of the period with a 2-1 lead.
And there was a big save late in the first as well. Colton Parayko right in the slot. Connor Hrabchak came out to the top of his crease. Very confident save. Rebound went to the corner. And before the second goal went in, it was looking more like Connor Hrabchak, and the second goal we'll get to, which a lot of people did not like, myself included, from Connor Hrabchak. But in the first period, he made a few very confident saves at the top of his crease. Looked like usual Connor Hrabchak. And this late one was one of them, because how many times in the series have the Jets let in a goal late in the first period? This was their best first period of the series, in my opinion, and they needed something to show for it, and they did with that save, taking a 2-1 lead through 20.
Yeah, the Jets leading the shots on goal 8-6 in the first period. Second period begins. No Mark Scheifele.
Yes.
On the bench, not starting. It's Vladimir Mesnikov on power play 1, and they did get an opportunity earlier, not able to convert. And this is the goal you're talking about with around 13 minutes left. Jimmy Snuggerud takes it wide. Looks like a harmless shot that goes on the far side on the ground. We thought maybe it got tipped, maybe not, but no, it went straight in. And maybe you talk about some goals you'd like to have back. Maybe that one ranks pretty high on whatever meter you're judging that by.
Yes, I think this is very, very high in the series, because whether or not you think Connor Hrabchak can play a factor in these screens and deflection goals, this was not screened, not deflected whatsoever. A shot along the ice. Jesse Granger from The Athletic posted two still frames next to each other where Snuggerud is, 2 seconds before he shoots and then when he shoots, and Connor Hrabchak doesn't move for either of them and gets beat on the short side right along the ice, right by the pad. When this goal went in, I thought for sure it could have been deflected. Maybe it went 5 holes, something of that nature. But no, Connor Hrabchak just got beat by a player skating wide, shooting the puck along the ice. And you never see this from Connor Hrabchak. And like I said, great first period from Hrabchak, looked like his vintage self, and then kind of threw out all the good work he was doing with this goal, because this is one that you absolutely have to have. But the Jets clearly responded very well from it.
Yeah, you're almost shocked because usually if he can see a shot like that, it goes in. He does not
along the ice too,
let in goals like that. And how would the Jets respond at 2-2? You felt like the next goal, very important. Kyle Connor in the slot had a chance. Neil Pionk on a 3-on-1 walked into the slot and saved it by Binnington. And you're about halfway through the second, and the Jets seem to be taking over, outshooting St. Louis 14-7. And Gabriel Vardy takes into the zone with about 10 minutes left. The puck ends up back on Dylan DeMello's stick. And, talk about a goal that the Blues scored in game, 3 or 4 with the deflection in front. Well, here's one off a defenseman's ass. Last game, it was Pionk. And this game, Colton Parayko takes a shot from Dylan DeMello, and the Jets are up 3-2.
Yeah, and Binnington stopped this one, just very much like the Hrabchak one in game 4 that was. He gets a piece of it. It goes off Parayko's ass and in. And Dylan DeMello pretty fired up for this one. You thought maybe it was Gabe Vilardi at the side of the net because he's done that so often this year where the puck just bounces in off him because he's always around the net front. But yes, I couldn't agree more with you. Huge goal for the vibes in this arena. Connor Hrabchak lets in a soft goal. You don't have Mark Scheifele. It's 2-2. The next goal is such a big one. And the Jets get a little bit lucky and get the momentum back on their side here with Dylan DeMello scoring off of Parayko's ass, like you said.
Yeah, and I thought after that, the Jets really brought the pressure, a lot of shifts in the offensive zone. Cole Perfetti, still without a goal. He was certainly buzzing with a chance. Hrabchak makes a big save on Nathan Walker, who had a shot off a turnover. And again, the Jets just bring the pressure, outshooting them 20-9. And, the score is 3-2. And you're talking about Vlad Nemestikov, and players need to step up with Mark Scheifele being out. You have a nice odd man rush with Mason Appleton dishing it to Kyle Connor, and Vlad, who gives it to Vlad Nemestikov. And that's how you beat Jordan Binnington. You're not going to beat him on shots from straight on. You got to make him move side to side. That proved to be the game-winning goal.
Yes, it was. And it's nice to get some secondary scoring from your top-line center, right? At the time, at least. Vladislav Nemestikov, a player that we had talked, looped into that group with Nino Niederreiter, a player that needed to get going. The Jets needed secondary scoring. And yes, he's filling in as the top-line center, but I'm still going to label this one as secondary scoring. Great play from Appleton on the wall to get that puck to Kyle Connor, who puck's in his feet, and he still finds a way to put it right on Nemestikov's tape one time's at home, and Nemestikov clearly fired up. Big Selly on this goal, and the whiteout was going nuts because, like you said, 2-2 game, Hrabchak shaky, Scheifele out. The Jets played their best second period of the series. It was quite a sight, and I think the shots ended up being 14-4 in the second period.
Yeah, 14-3.
14-3. Okay, they took a shot away.
It's just 14-3.
Or I added one in my head.
Very impressive second period for the Winnipeg Jets there. And Vlad Nemestikov, he stepped up all night.
Yeah.
He threw a spin move at one point, and the third period begins, and you're waiting, okay, is Mark Scheifele going to return? He did not. And the St. Louis Blues started off with a ton of pressure, and there was a moment there, a puck just sitting on the goal line.
Yeah.
And it gets cleared away. Sandberg resets it, and here was a play where the Jets could have really put this game out of hand. It's 4-2, a 2-on-1 with Vlad Nemestikov and Kyle Connor, and Nemestikov takes it to the net, makes a deke. Looks like he dekes out Binnington.
Yep.
And we're not sure if he shot it wide or it got tipped, but everyone was holding their breath at that moment.
Yeah. Nemestikov, I didn't get a good replay of this one as to whether it got deflected. I'd have to think it did. He makes the move around Binnington to the middle, and he's in the middle of the net and fires it wide, and that would have been the dagger. The Jets ultimately win this game, of course, as we are breaking it down here on the post-game reaction, but that would have been a dagger early in the third. And Nemestikov, another example of him creating offense in a game where you needed that without Mark Scheifele.
Yeah, and the Winnipeg Jets, really, I don't want to say in prevent mode, but they're blocking shots. They're forechecking hard. They continue to play their game and really shut down the Blues. And Hellebuck did have to step up and make a few big saves, and the Blues eventually pull Jordan Binnington. And one of the nicer empty net goals you've seen. Mason Appleton gets the puck out, and the Jets did a great job at clearing the zone when the net was empty, and passes it to Niederreiter, who goes for the spin pass to Adam Lowry and for the empty net goal, and that seemed to ice it.
Yeah, they did pull Binnington pretty early here with over 4 minutes remaining. And without Mark Scheifele, who's usually out there taking any faceoff that's on the right side, this was going to be a team effort to close this game out with over 4 minutes to go. And what a play from the Lowry line. Reunited for this game. Niederreiter with the spin pass. And Lowry's got 2 goals in this series. They're both empty netters to close out games that the Jets ended up winning 5-3. So Adam Lowry, get him on the ice in empty net situations. He'll protect the lead and get empty netters. And I thought it was a great play and a great way to close out this game. I know the Blues scored a late one there with Nathan Walker, but a great performance from the Jets all around, especially missing their top line center for the final 40.
Yeah, at that point it's 5-2, and you mentioned Nathan Walker does score to make it 5-3, but that was really the game. And I mentioned the Jets in prevent mode. Third period shots on goal, 10-4. For St. Louis. So the Winnipeg Jets with a very impressive performance. Wondering how would they respond after what we witnessed in St. Louis. And I mean, this home crowd, incredible. Really fueled them to this team victory.
Yeah, what a team effort. You and Hustler spent all week talking about how the Jets needed more from not their top line players, and then the challenge was thrown at them with no Mark Scheifele. And we'll see what his status is. The Jets are going to hold an availability tomorrow on his status on Thursday ahead of Friday's game. So maybe Scott O'Neill will be able to provide us with a little bit more information on Scheifele then. But yeah, what a gutsy performance. A swing game in the series, 2-2 on home ice. Jets have never bounced back from a playoff win in how many years now? Lose their top line center, their star goalie looks shaky, and all of it doesn't matter because their whole team stepped up. They played that smothering defensive style and got a huge win in this series and can close it out Friday, Game 6 in St. Louis, 7 p.m. Central. This was a fun night at the barn for sure.
Yeah, other than that second goal, Hellebuck very solid, making some key saves at big times. We didn't touch a lot on Gabe Vilardi and his return. What did you think of his play in his first game back?
Well, I think the biggest thing for Vilardi was his ability, without even playing, to balance out the rest of the lines. Get that Lowry line back together, get the top line back together. You lose Mark Scheifele. Hopefully he's okay for Game 6. But I thought Vilardi was great. I think he thrives in this physical environment at protecting pucks along the wall. And he did that a few times. He had the Jets' first shot on goal of the game, broke in on a chance. And there were some plays where he was so close to making the play, and you could tell that the timing was just off. There was a 3-on-2 late in the first where it was him, Connor, and Scheifele, and he went to drop it to Scheifele, and the puck just jumped on him, and he just missed it. That timing will get back with Gabe Vilardi, and if Mark Scheifele can be back for Game 6 or in the near future, that top line and that top power play will look eerily similar to what it did during the regular season, and that's a good sign for Winnipeg Jets fans.
Yeah, the answer from Scott O'Neill about Mark Scheifele is we'll see.
We'll see.
He didn't really have much to say. Had a lot to say about the Braden Shen hit on Mark Scheifele, but not about Mark Scheifele's status. Hey, I believe that is all that I have here, Connor. I think we've said it all. I'm not sure if there's anything else you wanted to touch on as we wrap up Game 5, which, I had flashbacks of Game 5 the last time these two teams met in the 2019 playoffs, and the Winnipeg Jets rewriting the script, winning after consecutive losses.
With a lot of circumstances going against them in this game as well. And to wrap this, I think bigger picture, we need to have a bit of a Mark Scheifele discussion because he's so pivotal to what this team does offensively, driving that top line, driving the top power play, that yes, the Jets stepped up in this game. And can they win Game 6 without him if he doesn't play? Absolutely. But this would be a massive loss if Mark Scheifele misses any amount of time in this playoff series. Obviously, we'll know more tomorrow, and you'll cover more with Hustler at 1 o'clock on Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. But yeah, hoping that Mark Scheifele is okay because that would be a massive, massive loss for this Winnipeg Jets group.
Yeah, and hey, if you made it this far, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave a comment what you thought about the game. The hit as well. Anything. We do read them. We do respond as well. So we appreciate everyone who's tuned in. And yeah, Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily, live weekdays at 1 p.m. Central Time on YouTube and available on podcast after. All the links All the social medias in the description of this video or podcast. So, Connor, we're looking ahead to Game 6. We'll have big question mark about Mark Scheifele. Nikolai Ehlers now practicing in a non-contact jersey. They won't be practicing tomorrow, as you mentioned, just flying to St. Louis. So we'll have to stay tuned Friday for the morning skate to see what happens here before Game 6. So the Winnipeg Jets leading the series 3-2 as it shifts back to St. Louis. For Connor Hrabchak, I'm Michael Remis. This has been the Winnipeg Sports Talk post-game reaction.